The last strategy that we're going to consider for options is called a straddle. And with the straddle, you would buy one call option and buy a put option, both with the same strike price. And so what we're doing is we're betting basically that the stock is going to move in some direction and not stay close to a certain price. So we'll use here the options with the strike price of 380 for SPY. The call has a market price of 2018. The put has a market price of 33. And so we'll see the payoff that's associated with this strategy. So let's calculate the payoff for this straddle strategy. It's an expensive strategy, so we have to buy both options. So we have to pay 2018 for the call option, and in this case, the put option is 33. So it's going to be an expensive strategy. Now, let's calculate first the payoff for the call option. That'll be the actual simulated price of the stock minus the strike price, which is 380. And then we discount that at the risk-free rate times the time to expiration. And then we're paying the market price of that option. Now, we're also having a payoff from the put option. So that would be the maximum of 0 or the strike price minus the actual simulated price. And we'll discount that at the risk-free rate times the time to expiration. And then we're buying both these options, so we would subtract out the market price of the put option. So we have the payoff for the call option discounted to the present value, minus the cost of that call option, plus the payoff from the put option discounted to the present day, minus the price of that option. So we'll make this a forecast and at risk. And it'll be defined as an output called straddle. So we can simulate this. And what we see is the average pretty close to 0. The average is actually slightly negative. But remember, what we're betting on here is that the stock price changes significantly in one direction or the other. So what we need to do is create a graph where we see the profile for this. So let's create an overlay and go into the actual price forecast and add an overlay. I think we'll clear the other overlays that are in there first. And then add an overlay. We'll overlay the actual price, and then a comma, and then the straddle. Now, the biggest thing for the overlay is to export the data and create an XY scatter plot. So here is export data in the bottom right hand of the output screen. And we'll export to Excel. And I'm going to choose a new worksheet in the active workbook. All right, I'm going to copy these labels for the actual price and the straddle to be right above the data. And then we're going to sort this data by the actual price. So we'll highlight all of this and go to data and then sort and sort by the actual price. Now the data is already highlighted here. And so what we'll do is go to Insert and create a scatter plot, which is this chart right here. And probably the best one would be this one, the scatter with the smooth lines. And so now what we see is our straddle. So what happens is the point here is centered around about 380. And so if the stock price changes significantly in the positive direction, we're going to have an increasing positive payoff. But also the case is if it increases in the negative, if stock price decreases significantly, we'll have a payoff. And we can see where these cross zero. We have to pay the fairly expensive cost of the strategy. But right here, it looks like right about 325 is where the payoff turns positive. So if this stock price drops below 325, it's 363 now, we'd have a positive payoff. And then if we look farther out, we see that if the stock price rises above about 434, we start to see a positive payoff from this strategy. So it's a fairly significant bet that the stock will change in price either lower or higher by a significant amount.